Well, it's well known that it's been a gruelling season for the fruit and hop growers of New Zealand. Firstly, with the lack of workers due to COVID-19 restrictions and the lack of space in quarantine. And of course, the recent hailstorm hitting the top part of the South Island very hard around Boxing Day. But also, of course, that wild weather has hit the Central Otago area with the runs into the millions of dollars. Of course, it was the biggest hailstorm to hit Motueka, believed to be in living history, decimating many apple and kiwifruit crops in the region. And of course, in Central Otago, it has been a similar impact. Joined now in Cromwell, Tim Jones, Chair of Summerfruit New Zealand. Tim, a summer to want to forget, I'd imagine.
Pretty much. We're looking forward to next season, no doubt about that. We're eternal optimists, of course, being fruit growers, but this has been really challenging with some of the worst rainstorms probably in living memory in the first week of New Year. So the cherry crop has been pretty much decimated, and growers are really struggling to work through the last of the fruit to see what they can salvage.
So what sort of numbers are we talking in terms of percentage of crops that you sort of currently know about as of today?
I would think from a cherry point of view, over half the crop has been destroyed. We were heading for a 6,000 or 7,000 tonne export crop, and we'll be lucky, in my opinion, if we reach 3,000 tonnes. The other fruit types have been affected to a lesser extent, but apricots pretty severely, with the early season varieties suffering damage. They get cracks around the stem and brown watermarks on them. So they've been a struggle, and I'm also hearing some of the early nectarines are causing growers a few difficulties too, and a lot of waste in them.
So what type of value are we putting on this that's hitting not only the economy, but also the local economy in these parts of New Zealand as well?
Well in excess of $50 million, I would think, in Central Otago, lost income to growers, and we all know that flows down into the wider economy. So quite a hit, I would suggest, particularly as we all try to recover from COVID and get the New Zealand economy going with export earnings.
Where does that leave the many that did put their hand up to come down to pick fruit? It would have been a short season for them.
Well, ironically, when we do get rain damage like this, we still have plenty of work. It's just that it's harder and slower. So hopefully most people are still being employed. They might not be earning quite as much as perhaps they could have. Everyone's in the same situation, unfortunately. But if they're prepared to stick it out, then there's a few more weeks hard work ahead of us yet.
And it's not just this year, though, is it, Tim? I mean, ongoing future investments into the sector are at risk. What about reputational risk for investors that were flooding into the horticultural sector pre-Christmas?
Well, cherries in particular in Central Otago have been going very well in recent years and have attracted a lot of investment. 2 or 3 good seasons, of course, is just that. You need to look over a much longer period to see exactly what can be the ups and downs in an industry. I guess from a reputational point of view, we're just trying to put the best possible fruit we can out onto the market so that we keep our reputation as having the best cherries in the world. That's all we can do. The volumes are down, the dollars are down, but we try to keep our place as number one.
I mean, food waste in the production and harvesting part of any sector is considerable. Is there sort of opportunities that have arisen, not just this year, but in recent years, that sees the likes of this mean that we can add value to this type of waste stream if we think and work collaboratively together?
Potentially, but the sort of damage that we've had to our crops this year is so bad that the fruit is really just split completely in half, and so it's completely unsound. It has no shelf life. It's full of decay, and there's, I don't think, any option for it apart from feeding it to stock or leaving it on the trees to fall on the ground. There's small opportunities for processing, making juice, drying cherries, those sorts of things, but the sort of volume that we have down here that's going to waste this year. We just don't have an industry big enough to handle it.
Goodness. I just want to extend our thoughts and empathy to all orchard growers around the country that have severely been hit by this. I mean, certainly when it comes to drought in the farming sector, we certainly are first in the news to wrap our arms around, and I hope we do the same absolutely with with horticulture as well. Tim, I just do want to talk about it. I know this Cook Islands to resume travel to New Zealand. It is focusing on those coming for quarantine-free travel to access essential services. But I mean, I heard that there was a reality TV show from America that had critical essential service visas to come into this country. Yet, here's an example that we can let Pacific Islanders in quarantine-free, yet still not these important RSE workers. This is getting ludicrous.
Well, I guess, there's many growers around New Zealand at the moment just shaking their heads and wondering when they are going to get a leg up because we are struggling. We've got through by the skin of our teeth from a labour point of view this year. I guess if I'm perfectly honest, I think there will be some crop left unpicked in Central Otago because of a shortage of labour now that we've had the rain damage. But it does seem pretty obvious to a lot of us that there could be a far simpler system for assisting growers to get their crops off and assist New Zealand in getting export dollars back to the country. And I'd hope that the government's open to a conversation to make it easier for us as we go forward.
Tim, I wish you a better 2021 ahead, and as you said there at the start, you're looking forward to next season already. Thank you so much, Chair of Summerfruit New Zealand, Tim Jones, talking to us there following the devastating rains recently in Central Otago, and of course you will remember Boxing Day hails around Motueka.